I suggested to Mum and Dad, why not just plant fruit trees everywhere so I could walk around and just pick fruit and eat.
Whoa, so you take one of those out and pop it in your mouth.
And all of our trees are also built on swales. The whole idea of a swale is to hold the water, store the water and slow it down. About a year and a half, 2 years, 2 years in April, we had our bees executed. They were healthy, they didn't have varroa mite, they didn't have any disease, they didn't have anything wrong with them, and we could prove that. And it did matter to the DPI. The only reason they did that was because we questioned the Biosecurity Act. They would open a hive, they'd pour it in, they'd put a rag in there, I'd pour it in, and then they'd close it and gas them. And you could hear them screaming. You could hear the sounds that those bees created. It was an absolutely dreadful situation, and they tried to do this in secret. They tried to hide the fact that they were killing people's bees.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm here at Vast Harvest Permaculture with Andrea and James.
Hello.
And they're going to show us around their permaculture forest, and I'm going to ask a few questions about it. So first of all, how did you get into farming? How did this permaculture forest come about?
Well, I was basically 7 years old, and I always loved doing bushwalks and walking around the place and all of that, but the one thing I hated was packing lunch. So I suggested to Mum and Dad, why not just plant fruit trees everywhere so I could walk around and just pick fruit and eat.
You forgot to say that you actually like to eat a lot of food as well.
Oh yeah, I used to eat a lot of food. I used to weigh a lot. But yeah, we suggested that, and Mum and Dad thought, oh, well, that actually sounds like a good idea. And then they actually stumbled upon, was Jeff Lawton's
videos, yep, of permaculture, and he would use his chickens and they would till, and then he would clear that area, and then he would plant trees, and then he would move them to the next area, and then the chickens would clear his land, and then he would plant trees. And then we thought, this is exactly what we want, and he basically had an established food forest.
When did you come here?
13 years ago.
Yeah.
We bought the property, so we've got 400 acres, but we built the permaculture food forest on 25. So, and that started 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow.
So the food forest is almost 6 years. We started with some small gardens up the top near the house maybe 7 years ago, but then this is really the star of the show, the food forest.
Cool. So can you tell me quickly, before we go looking around, how does a permaculture food forest work?
So a permaculture food forest works with nature and not against nature. So we are rehabilitating the ground and using permanent sustainable agricultural methods in basically replicating the forest in a way where we don't need to feed it, we don't need to look after it too much. It looks after itself, and it cares for itself, really.
So do you have to water it at all?
We had to water the first year we planted everything because all the trees were very, very small.
And we
planted in a drought. Yeah, so we really struggled. We had to water, I think it was like 3 times a week, twice to 3 times a week, dragging these 40mm hoses through almost 3 kilometres worth of swales, individually watering thousands of trees.
Wow,
on a hill.
Tough.
So it was, yeah. It all came out well because this place was the only area that fed the kangaroos in the drought. We were the only place with green grass because we were watering around the trees and we were planting pumpkins.
It wasn't really green grass. We made sure that we were trying to cover the ground, so we put some ground cover down as well. But we made sure that every time, because we drilled a hole for each plant, and then we put some good soil in it, because this native soil is no good. So we put some good soil in it, and then we've also got polymers throughout the whole lot of the swale system. So they're like water crystals that'll absorb the water as it comes through, and then hydrate, and then it's like a little micro tank of water for the plants.
Cool.
But because we had really good soil around each one of the trees that we planted, we decided that we're going to put pumpkins and melons and like anything and everything. I'm talking zucchinis, everything was planted in amongst it. So during that time, the whole swales all got covered with pumpkin vines. We had over 400 pumpkins. We couldn't give them away. We had so many pumpkins. But it covered the ground and it fed the ground, and the kangaroos loved it as well. So yeah,
Awesome.
we were feeding the wildlife during the drought.
Literally, yeah.
All right, so now if you could just like show us around a bit. I don't know, 20 acres sounds like a lot to cover on foot, but
Yeah, well, we've got the buggy, so we'll do, I reckon we'll go through a couple of these top swales. We might go down, say hi to the pigs. So all of our fruit trees in the swales are planted using the ABC method, which basically means we aren't putting the same trees next to each other and they're all separated. And that minimises it minimises pest spreading from tree to tree. It minimises disease spreading tree to tree. And if you look at your original banana, the Gros Michel, it was wiped out due to overpopulation of it. They just had fields of it, and that's how these diseases start, and that's how they wipe out complete species of fruits. Yeah, this is a method to prevent the fruit from doing that. And all of our trees are also built on swales. So the whole idea of a swale is to hold the water, store the water and slow it down to basically allow it to soak into the ground and seep into the ground very nicely, so all the trees are consistently watered. And we also have a biodegradable natural polymer that's in the ground, which is like a water crystal, which expands for about 400 times its size when water hits it, and it goes from a little crystal to an actual gel, and the roots will grow through the actual gels. And once the soil dries out, the tension from the root going through the gel will actually it will take the water out and drink from it in a drought. So yeah.
what is
This
this?
is the yellow cherry guava.
Yeah, so pina colada guava.
Pina colada. Are you not eating?
No, I'm still fasting.
Ah,
It's got little seeds in it, but they're edible.
it tastes good. I don't know what guava I've had, but it's red before.
They're probably,
They look a bit young, a bit green.
yeah.
We'll
I think
we'll
the
walk
other-
down a couple of swales, and we have a lot more that are fruiting at the moment.
Each
So-
swale has the same, well, there's a mix of fruits, but we'll find that we've got the white chatuts on this swale over here are completely different tasting to the white chatuts down in swale 9. At the moment we don't have them fruiting, they fruit in the spring. But yeah, same brand, same variety, it's just that they have different flavours on different swales for some reason.
Why is that so nutrient?
Yeah.
The sharing of different nutrients between the trees.
What companion plants are around, the quality of the soil, how old the tree is, what's breaking down in the soil at the time can change it as well. Also the amount of rain we get. Say one part of the food forest somehow got more wet than the other part of the food forest or so on, then you could have very, very juicy plump fruits here, or even one splitting, and up the top you could have smaller ones. But yeah, so we've got a whole bunch of wacky fruits here as well, you know, not just your average fruits, and we're really stressed with that, you know, not keeping anything normal. We want to get every type of or every variety of fruit here eventually.
The things that you can't buy in the shops,
Yeah.
technically, like ice cream beans.
Blue bananas, the blue javas.
Yeah.
Yep, they have a vanilla flavour to them. Well, more of a texture, but yeah, then we've got red bananas, the red daccas. So we'll end up seeing some down there. I don't actually think we have any fruit on them at the moment, but we do have the blue java fruit. So we rehabilitate the soil using wood chip as well and chop and drop. Because this soil is one of the worst soils you could possibly grow in. It's mineralless, ashy soil.
Here's a little fat one.
What's this tree?
This is an ice cream bean.
So you take one of those out and pop it in your mouth.
Look at it.
And there's a seed inside it. So you just suck the fluff off around this. That's it. So you're just eating the ice cream bean fruit.
You can cook and eat the seeds as well.
Wow. I've never seen it before, never heard of it
Do you want
before.
to taste another one?
Sure.
I'll get one for your dad in a sec.
Oops.
You keep the seeds because they'll sprout very easily.
Will it grow in Tasmania?
Yeah, bender grass is a chop and drop. It's this tall stemmy grass. It's also really good for animal fodder. So one of the things we use it for is that. It's a great cover great protector, especially for these deciduous types of trees or anything like that, where they need a bit of cover when they're getting back into season. For instance, the chase, which is going, I think it's about 3 times bigger this year than it was last year. It was a stick last year.
The other thing is that we've created the microclimates with banner grass.
Yeah.
So it helps. That's why we've put all the tropicals and subtropical trees down this side of the forest. It's more protected with that forest behind it as well. So it gets quite humid and quite protected in this area, whereas further out into the roadside of the swales, we have a lot more of the Australian natives and more hardier plants that will, don't mind getting hit by frost. Or we don't have frost up here that bad, but if it's a cold wind, then yeah, they're more hardier, and this is more the protected area in the food forest.
Interesting.
And it's very easily noticeable in the winter when you're coming down, and it's a bit more warmer. It's not as cold as what it is out there.
It can be
Really?
cold, and you can start sweating down here because it's so damn humid.
Wow.
It's ridiculous. Yeah, the microclimates are very good in this food forest, and that's also very due to the fact of having the banner grass and keeping that moisture held into the ground, and a lot of chop and drop and stuff like that. Another thing we also do with the food forest is we're working with nature, and having the permaculture or naturoculture look to it is not taking all of the fruit, but actually leaving some behind for the animals, leaving some behind for the trees, and then we take about 1/3 of it. So
Yeah, the animals like the bees ones.
yeah, you'll see
That.
we like to make sure that
So yeah,
they're all on the ground.
we don't cover unless there's something that we really, really want. We will cover it. In the orchard, we cover everything up that we want to keep. But yeah, here we just sometimes let the animals get to it. It's not a big
Even
deal.
the bananas, we've got so many bananas right now that over here, these ones are like our sacrificial bananas,
Yes.
because they're
I
so
can see that.
small. That one looks really wonky.
Something's
But
eaten
then,
the side of it.
we've got our goldfingers over here, which haven't even been touched because they're so much higher. So at the end of the day, if you're not being greedy and there's plenty of fruit and it's growing in abundance because you want those animals, you're going to have a very good harvest. I mean, you shouldn't really have bananas in a bunch that big anyway. You should really only have 3 of them together, but same
We
time.
say not if we do.
Yeah.
Yeah, so each year we get a different harvest from the different fruits. So last year we've got, in between each one of the bananas is a mango tree.
Oh.
So
Yes, I can see it.
yep. So if you see a banana, more than likely it's got a mango there, and it'll have turmeric behind it and ginger and that sort of stuff. But each year we get a complete different harvest. So last year we got quite a few mangoes. I think something like 20 mangoes. That's not bad for its 5th year.
Yeah.
This year, not a single one.
Oh.
Not a single one. So I don't know whether it was the heat, they were stressed or whatever, but yeah, so we just didn't get anything. And every single year, not just here, but up in the garden as well. Some years we'll grow a ton of cucumbers, and other years we will struggle with them. Some years the tomatoes are in abundance, and other years they're just no good. So it's strange.
The seasons have been very off as well. They're not actually how they're supposed to. They're all over the place because we get rain, then we get heat, or it goes absolutely freezing cold in the middle of summer, which makes no sense. Unnaturally cold, by the way. It's really weird. This is another ice cream bean. It's gone. This is a Burdekin plum. It's got fruit on it as well, but it's not ready. So some fruit in the food forest is not ready when it seems to be ready. Where is the fruit?
The
There it
green
is.
ones.
Yeah, so this is the Burdekin plum, and not all fruit is ready when it's ripe. It sometimes has to fall on the ground, and then it tastes better. So, for instance, a Burdekin plum, you want them to drop on the ground and ferment for a couple of days before you go and eat them, because the flavour is completely different, and it goes from being tart and sour or bitter to a lot more sweeter.
A gourd growing up here.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I wanted to grow a gourd in here. They took over the garden up there at the house last year. I did plant some up there, But my idea is I want them to be growing from one tree to another, and then, you know, eventually when these trees grow up, put some archways. So when you're walking through here, you're just walking and there's like gourds hanging down.
That would be
and
epic.
Another cool thing is with dropping the fruit or letting the fruit drop is we get a lot of seedlings. So we've got a whole bunch of baby ice cream beans here. 1, 2, 3, and you'll just keep on finding them everywhere you look. So there's 1, 2, and 3 there. There's another one there. Then over here, we've also got baby loquats everywhere as well. So you can see that the soil is actually improving to the point where the seeds are now striking in the ground without any help, which is great. And that's another big reason we leave our fruit to fall on the ground and not just take everything, is because it gives back in more than one way. And we will come through and collect those as well soon. But the loquat's actually flowering at the moment. And this is have you ever had a loquat?
Don't think so.
No. So the best way to describe it is like a tropical pear. A very, very delicious tropical pear. But the loquat flowers are used in a lot of Chinese medicine. So is a loquat and the leaves. A lot of tea as well. They use it for tea. It's a very, very big thing in the Asian countries. Not that heard of around in Australia or anywhere else. But the people that do know about it, as soon as they spot the tree, they're over to it and they'll pick all the fruit because it's just so good.
A lot of people plant these in their gardens and don't realise that there's fruit, and it's just fruit. So people are like, they don't even know it's edible.
There's also a native loquat that it grows around the place that people don't know about. So there, you can easily spot them out in the bushes, as well. So, yeah.
So many varieties and things that people don't know about.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we just don't want to grow apples, pears, and bananas.
No.
Oranges.
But that's the thing is, like our mangoes. We say we have mangoes between every every 2 bananas. We have a mango sitting in between, and it's not just a plain old mango like a Kensington Pride. We've got almost 13, 14 different varieties of mango, all in the food forest. And they can taste very different from your typical mango, especially if they're an Indian variety. People reckon they don't even taste like mangoes. They just taste more tropical or more passion fruit flavour than anything else. But yeah, that's a blue Java banana. And they've got that vanilla flavour to them. They will turn blue, like blue if it's cold. But it's currently warm.
It's not going to be bright blue. It's just going to be more dusty blue.
Dusty blue, but it's a noticeable blue. It's not like the colour it is at now. But you can still notice, even though it's hot out, that it still has a blue tinge to it, a bit different to your normal banana bunches. It's probably, that'd be the second bunch we've ever harvested, because each one we've always lost to the animals.
Well, either
beforehand.
that or the wind blew them over and
Yes,
we couldn't get in and the animals ate them.
Yeah, it happens all the time. But that's the part of the joy of the food forest. Yes, so this is the natural warhead of the food forest.
What is this?
This is a lemon myrtle.
Lemon aspen.
Aspen, sorry.
You get it right. Lemon aspen.
Oh, they're all falling off.
Okay, that means they're ready to pick.
Here you are.
Thank you.
Try some of those.
You need to get this reaction on camera.
Okay. You're filming? Whoa. That's sour. You want to try?
It's slightly sweet.
So what do you use these for?
Jams, you can use them in drinks. You could definitely use them as a warhead alternative, maybe. I really haven't tried to use them too much, because every year we've only had a handful on each tree. Like this one would have only created a couple last year, and we wouldn't have picked it. And
this year we're picking this.
This year, because it's not its first fruit, we'll pick it. And as you can see, leave it, it becomes abundant, because we only had a handful last year. But yeah, it's quite awesome. We're going to try and experiment. I reckon it's cordials or something.
Cordials and maybe some jams.
Yeah.
or even into a chutney or something like that. I don't know yet. I'm going to have to do some research. Both of us like to look at different ways of utilising stuff off the farm, especially things that you're not going to find on the shelves at the shops as well.
Definitely.
Behind you is a red Acre banana, and you can tell it's quite red as a plant as well. These create red bananas, and they don't rely on the cold to create red bananas. They will just create red bananas.
Yeah, but no, they are more tropical, so they're
Yeah.
very sensitive to the cold.
Compared to the blue Javas, which are cold tolerant.
Yeah.
So everything seems to work here quite fine in unison because of how we've sort of set it up. But at the same time, yeah, you won't have any chance of growing this down the coastline too far. But up the coast, we're just lucky enough to get a fair bit of them really thriving here. But they have a nice berry taste to the banana. Like almost apparently a raspberry strawberry taste to it. We haven't tried one yet. We have so many trees in the food forest, we're just waiting for one to fruit. We're getting close, they're getting close. Well, we also have comfrey as well, all through the food forest.
Nice.
So,
You've heard of comfrey?
Yeah, I just planted my first comfrey the other day.
Yeah, so it's absolutely great. If you ever get internal bleeding, shove a whole bunch of that in your mouth. Obviously, don't eat it because it will kill your liver, but at the same time, it's great for external use and internal in severe situations.
So this is a feijoa. This is my new favourite tree, like new favourite fruit.
Nice pocket knife.
Comes with me everywhere except for when I'm in a dress. Apparently this isn't the way you eat feijoas, but this is the way we eat them. So you grab it.
So can you eat the skin as well?
We don't eat the skin.
Okay.
And eat it like that.
These taste good.
Tastes like it's got the texture of a pear, but it's like a pineapple. This is a pineapple feijoa, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, that's why it tastes like pineapple.
Yeah, it does.
Because it's got a really tropical pineapple flavour to it.
Thank you.
We've got finger limes throughout the food forest. This one isn't fruiting yet, but the one from up the house is. So we're going to give you a taste test of the one from the house. But yeah, one day we'll have fruit coming off these ones. All right.
Finger lime time. Also known as fruit caviar.
Yes.
Have you heard of
I've
finger
seen
limes?
photos. I've never had one, I don't think.
All right, you might want to come in for a close-up of this one. Do you want to grab that end?
And then give it a squeeze.
It's already coming out.
Yeah, it will come out and you just got to either catch it in your hand or pop it in your mouth.
Wait for the camera. Do you see? There. Okay. That's cool. Oi. No. I'm going to squirt the whole thing.
Squirt it right in your mouth and bite it all the way through.
Nice. I like that.
That is really cool.
And each one has a different flavour as well, a slightly different flavour, I reckon. Some are less sour, depending on the variety.
It just depends, because that one's a really big one. I think that's Rick's Red.
Whoa. That's very red. It's got big seeds.
It's got a few bigger seeds, but they'll taste different as well.
Great.
Sweeter?
Yeah.
So we only have 4 hives of bees. We've had these for about a couple months now. One of our mates gave it to us, gifted them to us. And I think he had about 250 hives here. So as soon as we could get bees back on the property, we did it pretty crazy. And we got him in, and he had his 250 hives here for a while. The pollen sort of has taken a dip, so he's taken those away for now, and we've just got our 4 hives. But we will end up doing probably... I reckon we might go back up to 18 again. It was a good number to work with. and we've got plenty of honey from it, and we want to do it more in the food forest as well.
Yeah, the pollination is crucial.
It is.
Okay, so now that we're talking about bees, can you explain to our audience what exactly happened to your beehives?
So, how long ago? About a year and a half, two years,
2 years in April.
2 years in April. We had bees executed, to put it simply. They were healthy. They didn't have varroa mite. They didn't have any disease. They didn't have anything wrong with them, and we could prove that. And it did matter to the DPI because they said there was a case of one varroa mite in a 10-kilometre area, well, in an area that was just put us in the 10-kilometre range. And the only reason they did that was because we questioned the Biosecurity Act. We know for a fact where they put that spot, there was no beehives on that road, and there was none with varroa mite. They just did it because we questioned the Act. 15 minutes after questioning it, and it sent an email to them. Then that happened, and they come. They actually said 1.1 million each, and it's a 1.1 for the company. If you guys move those beehives, touch them, go near them, anything like that, they come to our gate, and they handed us the act, the Biosecurity Act. We told them to put it on the ground. They broke into the property, and well, we had to let them in. You know, they'll break in, they'll bring the cops, and they'll knock down your gate if they have to. And they poured petrol into each one of our hives. About, 250 mils of petrol in. They would open a hive, they'd pour it in, they'd put a rag in there, they'd pour it in, and then they'd close it and gas them. And, you know, a whole hive and that much petrol, it's not going to kill them all instantly, and you could hear them screaming. You could hear the sounds that those bees created. It was an absolutely dreadful situation, and they tried to do this in secret. They tried to hide the fact that they were killing people's bees, and they killed 55,000 hives that are known that they've killed, which I reckon they're fibbing about. I reckon they killed a lot more hives than that.
That's absolutely ludicrous. That's horrible, horrible. Do you know of any like natural ways? I know you said you didn't have varroa, but are there any natural ways that you know of that can help with varroa?
Yes, so very strong hives. Hives are very, very resistant against varroa already. We have stuff that are worse than varroa in Australia, like the hive beetle, which will kill a hive in a week. Varroa takes 2 years to kill a hive, and we've lost hives from hive beetle. Never varroa, but there's multiple things. Oxalic acid, which is actually illegal in Australia to use. Of course it is, because it's a natural way, and they don't want you using natural chemicals or anything like that to treat your hives. But you can use rhubarb leaves as well. So when they break down, they actually create that acid and will help defend your hive against the varroa mite. There is also thyme. If you plant thyme around your bees, the thyme leaves will brush against the bees and help the varroa mite get taken off. In Australia, we're very blessed with hot days, so varroa does not withstand over 34 degrees for about 3-4 hours, and they will die. Anything higher, up to 36, 37 degrees, they only have an hour or two before they die. So the goal is to make sure your bees are not hungry, they've got plenty of pollen, you're in a well-pollinated area, and they've got plenty of opportunity to get food. And if you have a strong hive, they're going to fight against varroa mite very well. There's also people put metal, or what is it called, copper tape up the front of their hives as well. They reckon that helps. Not sure how much. I think it's supposed to prevent the spread of it more, but yeah. There's a fair bit of different natural methods. The main problem we're facing here is the government doesn't want you trying those methods, and they didn't want you trying it from day dot. Even though the varroa mite would have been here almost a year or two before they even said it was here, and it would have spread everywhere already. It's just, it's just complete. It was a complete fabrication of everything to come after our self-sufficient community, because without the European bees, you can't pollinate almost 90% of your imports. All of your different types of fruits, they rely on the European bee to actually pollinate them.
There was a lot of farmers that went broke over that process because they had no bees to pollinate. So there was pumpkin farmers in Maitland.
How long were they? 100
Market.
years or
Yeah,
something?
100, yeah, they were like generations. The family had kept that farm going, and they went broke because there was no pumpkins, and even the ones that were pollinated, they were all like weird looking.
So
ones.
when they self-pollinate or they get pollinated by other things, what happens if you're left with one fruit on the whole vine that's just going to become woody and crap and inedible? Or bananas, for instance, yeah, they're self-pollinating, but without the bees and all that, their pollination job is going to be really inefficient and you won't get a full bunch of bananas or anything growing stable. It's a very crucial part of the environment. But not just that, the people that they injured, the mental health they put on people, mental strain
Families,
they put on
businesses.
people. Now, there's a 90-something-year-old in, he's been 90 now?
Yeah.
Yeah, his name's Stumpy, and the bloke literally smells like honey. His whole backyard is just beehives, and they killed his 90-year-old bloke's freaking bees that he's looked after his whole life. He would see a bee walking on the ground, he'd pick it up and put it back on the hive. That's how close he was to them. And I'm close to bees, but I was never, I've looked after them and all that, but he was very special. It was devastating for him. I know people that went back in therapy by 4 or 5 years that had PTSD, and they left the military, and that was their only way to comprehend with life, and the DPI come along and killed their bees. And over nothing, over no proof. They didn't even test our bees when they killed them because they knew it was going to come up negative. But we did test it and it did come up negative.
My goodness, government overreach in Australia is just terrible.
Yeah.
So strong. Wow. Well, thank you for sharing your story about the bees. The viewers will now listen to the story and they'll be educated with what's going on, because you don't see this on ABC News. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. It's very sad.
Well, I mean, the good thing out of this is people sort of woke up to what's going on as well with this. You know, they realise that the government's not all for us in some ways, especially some people that may have been on the edge, especially that were supporting it at the start. By the end, they didn't. But now we got our bees back, which is a good thing as well, because if people didn't start standing up, if I didn't say anything and it didn't happen to me, I don't know who else would have said anything, because no one was saying anything. So if no one stood up and said anything, how many bees were they going to kill? It could have just gone all over Australia, because their whole goal was chasing it out from the point, not stopping it in its tracks. They were just finding a new case up the road and then killing everything, finding another new case further than that, killing everything, and they were consistently doing that. It was unethical, the whole system.
Okay, you've just started something.
Sorry, yeah, I just keep on.
He just keeps on going. It's something that he's very passionate about. But
yeah,
look, we've got the bees back. That's a good thing. They stopped killing them. That's amazing. And yeah, we just have to build our stock back up again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, cool. Split the hives.
Thank you very much for showing me and my dad, the cameraman, around the permaculture farm. It's really impressive what you're doing here. Can you please tell to our audience, how can we support you? Can we buy your produce, or do we follow you on Instagram? What do we do?
Yeah, so we have Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, everything really. YouTube, Vast Harvest Permaculture. We upload tips and tricks on all permaculture related stuff.
Or kitchen stuff.
Or kitchen stuff, anything self-sufficient or homesteading. We also have our website, vastharvestpermaculture.com.au. We have tours available where you can come and see this place in person and get to experience some of the fruits and what's in season, and actually have a chat with us and learn a bit more.
And we've also got other handmade stuff up that we've taken from the farm as well. So there
products.
are salves, and there are soaps, and there are things like comfrey salves, some butters and that sort of stuff. So yeah, there is stuff on the website to purchase as well. Sometimes we'll have fruit on there when it's available. So yeah.
And we might have accommodation in the next couple of months looking onto that direction. So that's getting exciting as well. So you can come here, stay the night, and we're going and have a look at the food forest. We're also, what other events?
Well, we've got some campfire nights.
Yeah, campfire nights and stuff. So
We've got some herbal tea workshops coming up. So there's a lot of things in the works at the moment.
Yeah.
Terrific. Is there anything else you would like to say to our audience on YouTube?
Thank you for watching the video the full way through. You know, if you got to this point, obviously, thank you. Hit the like button,
Yeah.
subscribe to Chili.
Yes, thank you. So like, subscribe and share and comment, anything to boost the algorithm. Thank you.
Definitely.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay, see you guys next time on Chili's Farm. Bye.
See ya.